So choosing the right board is going to be super important if you guys want to be sliding out far and catching waves on a skimboard and skimming well. So we're here at Exile Skimboards in San Clemente, and we're going to go in and help you guys choose out the right board. What's up, Frank?
What's up, man? How are you?
How's it going, bud?
Good to see you.
So we got Frankie here.
What's going on?
Holding the shop down. So Frank, I was just telling people how choosing the right board is going to be super important to skimming well and getting out and sliding out far to waves.
Yeah, it's one of the main questions I get all the time. People ask me what board to ride. I ask them their height. I ask them their weight, what materials. We use different materials and all that. So it's really a big question, and picking out the right board is very crucial.
Yep. So me personally, I always tell people just get a carbon board because carbon boards are more stiff, they're lighter, and they're more durable. So stiffness is super important because it's going to ultimately reduce drag and help you get out further the waves.
No, absolutely.
And it's going to last longer, and it's more responsive. It's a lighter board. So
same thing I tell a lot of people.
Yeah,
carbon boards, you get that extra stiffness. You know, it's just a little bit stronger in materials that we use compared to other boards. But overall, I think it's going to last you a little bit longer than most boards. So.
Cool. Well, you want to walk us around and show us some cool boards?
Absolutely.
This is actually my pro model. This is a medium hybrid shape board. So hybrid shapes have a lot of surface area, a lot of, I think it really helps. It's a little bit more forgiving, helps you get out further.
Playful board for different conditions. You move into a different shape, it's going to be the pro shape. As you can tell, the nose is a little bit more pointed compared to this nose being a little bit more wider. This board's going to drive you down the line. Liners, it's going to make you go a little bit faster. This board's a little bit more playful, a little bit more forgiving. It works in all conditions, I think.
Pro shapes are good for liners. They're really snappy. However, I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult to hold your momentum sliding out to waves. So I always recommend going the hybrid shape, especially for beginner, intermediate, and even advanced. These are my favorite shapes. And
Mine as well. I ride the same board.
I mean, I think it's good for any conditions. Big waves, small waves. It keeps your momentum going. It's still super responsive. Nice buttery smooth turns.
Absolutely.
Pro shapes are good for somebody who just kind of knows what they want, and they know that they want that like snappy kind of like, and they're an advanced skimboarder.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, so we got different sizes. So somebody who's 160 pounds like me, 165.9, what would you recommend? What size?
I'd probably go for about a medium board.
Yep, that's what I'm riding, a medium.
Yeah, our medium boards, they rate up to around, I think it's like 175 pounds, somewhere around there.
And I always tell people, if you're unsure, always go a little bit bigger. It's better to have a board that's a little bit on the bigger side than be too small.
But then you also don't want to go too big because too big can compromise your turns.
That's right.
You know, you can't turn as sharp on waves and all that. So you want to stick within the fair range of your weight and height.
Okay.
But it just depends. We get some super tall guys riding real small boards because they like it like that. So it's really on personal preference. But if you're just starting out, I mean,
it's always better to go a little bigger because if anything, you're just going to be able to get a little further out at the expense of not being able to turn as fast.
Absolutely.
And then, so we got some really cool boards here. This is like a Blair Conklin Pro model, super cool art. Yeah, show us some other boards.
So these are all our carbon boards right now. We have different pro models for different people. This is one of our team rider, Buoyancy in Mexico. This is one of his pro models. So pretty simple art on the bottom. We do all different types of resin art. We can do pretty much anything you want. If you want a custom image on the bottom of the board, let's say you want a big giant balding eagle, we could throw one of those on the bottom of your board. And you also have different thicknesses as well. So
that's important. So go ahead.
Something to talk about in thickness. We do 3/4 inch or 5/8 inch thickness. 3/4 is going to be a lot thicker. We also taper the rails too, so you can do 3/4 in the middle of the board, and the nose and the tail is going to be a little bit skinnier, which is going to be 5/8. So you're still going to get that nice float from the 3/4 thickness, but you're also going to be able to turn a little bit sharper on your rails when you have a little bit thinner on the nose and tail. So just depending on what your style is, where you're riding. If you're a little bit bigger of a guy, the 200-pound plus range, usually the 3/4 board people like. I personally like the 5/8. I like turning on a rail really sharp. It just really depends on your conditions. Of
a lot of people think buoyancy comes from thickness, and in some sense that's true. But I think for skimboarding, everything's going to be in the surface area of your board. That's why I recommend people going with the hybrid shape. because you can go thinner, but since you have that volume and that surface area, it's going to help you kind of hold your momentum and stay on top of the water. So,
absolutely.
Which is why going a little bit bigger is always good too. So some people do prefer the 3/4, especially on the East Coast, but I always recommend going 5/8 and a board with a good bit of volume in it. So what do we got there?
Oh, this is just one of our 5/8, little cotton candy board right here, a little bit thinner of a board.
Pro shape?
Yep, pro shape right here. Just pretty much we can do whatever you want, different colors, different combinations.
Cool.
Austin, your pro model is looking great this year.
Thank you, thank you.
Like
Yeah, so this is the 2017, 2018 AK Pro model. So you guys can go on my website. You can go to eastcoastskimboards.com, or you can go to exileskimboards.com, and you can find a huge selection of boards, any size. You can custom make your own board, or you can get my pro model right here, what I ride, exactly what I ride.
Another
right
Austin
now.
Keene Pro model as well.
That was, yep, last year's model.
Last year's edition. So, I mean, we still have plenty of different boards that
That's
you can
a
choose from.
medium small, maybe? What is that?
This is a small, actually.
Small, okay. So that's
small
a
hybrid.
small
5/8.
hybrid.
So we've got the Austin Keene logo, the signature right there.
All right, so I started on a really cheap wood and resin coated board, and that's not going to get you further than just sliding on the sand. Like I said, choosing the right board is super important if you want to reach waves and slide out far. So I always direct people to carbon boards because it is the best board you can get. It's stronger, it's lighter, and it's a stiffer board all around, just better material. It's the best material you can get in skimboarding. But if you absolutely cannot afford a carbon board or the extra $150 or $200, there are some other options that Exile is actually making that will be a lower price point, but also it's going to cost you some performance and durability as well. So Frank, can you run us through kind of some of the boards that Exile is making that will be maybe a more affordable option for people?
Absolutely. So not too long ago, we decided to make our EX1 and EX2 skimboard. We started off with the EX1, which is going to be one of these boards right here. These start off at $325. Great boards for beginners. Someone comes in that hasn't really skimmed too much. They don't really know too much of what they're doing. This is going to be a great board. It's going to give you that extra little float. We do make different sizes, small, medium, just in a large and an extra large as well. So pretty simple.
So do you custom make the EX1s also, or do you just have to kind of choose what options
We
you
can
have?
custom make an EX1, whatever specifications, whatever colors you want to do on that. Usually we do a nice little gloss finish on these, but we can do a textured finish and all that.
Okay.
And then you move up into our EX2, which is just a little bit more stronger material we use in there. It's gonna be it's gonna be about $50 more, so you're looking at about $375. You got a little bit different graphics going on here. You got the little pinstripes on there.
So this one's got the matte finish on, or almost a textured finish.
It's got a textured finish. We do some resin art on the bottom here.
I would recommend getting the textured finish. I think it's a little bit more stronger and just has a better feel too, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I personally like the textured finish. We do a gloss finish as well, like the board I just showed you. And then we also do a new textured finish, which is a little bit of the old texture and the new. They do put a coat of wax on there. Okay. So it's a little bit smoother instead of that more grainy feeling. But a lot of people have been liking that as well these days too. So you got different options, but
so what's the price point of a EX1?
EX1's gonna be $325.
So if you look at $325, EX2 is
$375.
And what is this? The AK carbon
AK,
skimboard?
I believe, is about $489.
Or just a normal carbon skimboard?
Normal carbon, just depending on if there's different
average.
Yeah, average is about $459 to $489.
So you're going from $370 to
$375 to about $459, right around there.
Okay.
So you're jumping up a little bit, but with the carbons, you are getting a stiffer
You're getting
board.
the best you can get.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like it's the best of the best. Spend the extra $100, get the carbon.
It's like buying a new car. You buy a brand new one off the lot. You know, it's gonna last you. That's what I think buying carbon is.
Exactly. If you insist that you must start from the lower end model, then this is a great option.
Yeah, EX1
still has a good
EX2.
shape. It's going to have the surface area we talked about, a great shape to still get you outdoor riding waves.
Same exact shape. These shapes for the EX1.
Is that a hybrid shape?
Yep, all our EX1 and EX2s are based off of our hybrid shape, hybrid rocker, exactly like all of the carbon boards. It's just going to be a little bit heavier of a board. The material's not carbon fiber in there.
Not as stiff. It's going to be a little less durable, but still a great board.
Still a great board to get you. If you are a beginner, you
get
can't
a carbon
go
board.
wrong with it.
Get a carbon board.
Carbon boards are good.
Also, after you buy a skimboard, you have different options for pads. Skimboards.com and EastCoastSkimboards.com. They have a lot of different selections for traction pads. Some people use the arch bars and tail pad. I personally use a tail pad only. It's a preference thing, but definitely get at least a tail pad because that's gonna keep your foot locked in the back of the board. Arch bars aren't super necessary, but a lot of people do prefer to have the arch bars on the board.
It really helps a lot, I think, as far as sticking your feet on the board, and you just have a lot of control as far as moving the board from left to right. So.
As far as brands and different shapes, that's all preference things.